Welcome to Missouri Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Staley. Today, we've got small school predictions here for Missouri high school baseball, the week of April 26th. Let's jump straight into it. The Class 1 scoreboard from last week, the final scores. Schuyler County over Atlanta, 7-1. South Callaway defeats Calvary Lutheran, 19-1. Russellville in extra innings defeats the Class 1 number 1 St. Elizabeth 4-2. Rockport over Albany 3-1. Chaffee and Orrin does not happen. And Purdy defeats Wheaton 12-0. Here's the Class 1 scoreboard for this week. We'll start off with North Shelby versus Atlanta. That is tonight at 5 o'clock. If you're watching this on Tuesday, it's our Class 1 game of the week. Atlanta is down in this series 3-7 since 2017. I think they take a chip out of that record there. These two teams have similar averages. It's a toss-up game, but I've got Atlanta in the top 5. North Shelby, they've only played 11 games this season, so they don't have quite the reference sample that we have for Atlanta. I will go with the Hornets here. West Nottoway versus Rockport. Give me Rockport here. They're 2-1 against the Rockets since 2022. West Nottoway just has not been challenged this year. They're 8-1. They're not playing tough teams right now. They're coming up on a pretty tough path in the schedule, so we'll see what they're made of here. Starting off with Rockport here. I think the Blue Jays take care of business on that one. Risco versus Neelyville. Give me Neelyville. These two teams are tied against each other 2-2 since 2022. Right now, Neelyville, they're scoring 9 runs per game. I like the offense. They're right outside the rankings in Class 2. I will go with them here. St. Elizabeth versus South Callaway. These two teams tied 5-5 since 2016. I'm going with St. Elizabeth. They're coming off that rough loss against Russellville. Not exactly rough, I shouldn't say. It's a tough loss in extra innings against a ranked Russellville team. They're scoring 8.7 runs per game, even with a tough schedule this season. I think the Hornets, even with that tough schedule, like I said, these guys are producing. The pitching stats haven't been beautiful, but they're playing teams pretty high above them. I mean, they've got Class 4 and 5 opponents in this schedule. I think this is a really good team that should make a run. Sturgeon versus Community. I will go with Sturgeon here. They're coming off a really rough week. They lost to Salisbury and Centralia. They also picked up 2 wins in the week as well, though. So, a 2-2 week for them. I think they're a really solid team. They shut me up at the start of the season. I took KO to beat them, and then they killed them. So, I've got them top 10. Like I said, it was a tough week. They're in need of a bounce back. I think they do it. They're up 6-3 in this matchup history since 2017. Bats are doing well. I think they rip up Community here. Advance versus Cooter. These two teams are both ranked in Class 1. I'm excited for this matchup. I believe we got Cooter at number 5. I will take them here. This is the first listed matchup in Misha. It actually says they're playing in Memphis, Tennessee, a neutral site game. I guess there's a little tournament going on down there. Cooter. They're winning by 8.4 on average, the run differential. I will go with the Wildcats here. Class 2 from this past week. Greenville loses to Poplar Bluff 11-2. Eugene over Tipton 12-2. Alton defeats Bakersfield 12-2. Miller over Diamond 11-4. Scott City defeats Neelyville 5-0. And Hartville versus Licking does not happen. Portageville versus Scott City. This one is tonight. I'm going with Scott City here. They've got 4 straight wins against Portageville. They have a plus 9.7 run differential this season. They're looking incredible. They just fell out of the top 5, not because of a loss, though, but because Centralia has been playing so well. So they are number 6 in Class 3 right now. I believe they win this one quite easily. Van Buren versus Alton. Van Buren is up in this matchup history 7-6 since 2016. I believe the Comets will tie it up 7-7. They're scoring 8 runs per game. Van Buren's pitching staff has been rough, allowing 6.7 on average this season. Obviously got to go with the Comets here. It'll be a tough matchup, though. North Platte versus Mid-Buchanan. I'm going with the Dragons here. They're 12-4 against North Platte since 2016. I think we may see a high-scoring game here. North Platte's got a good offense, but they are also allowing a pretty good amount of runs. And same deal with Mid-Buck. I mean, they're allowing more than what they want, and the bats. I mean, they're not scoring as much as North Platte, but I still believe they're around 6 runs per game. So I believe this one could be a pretty fun one. Purdy versus Stratford. I will go with Purdy in this one. They've only got one matchup in the past 10 years. That was back in 2023, where Stratford won 10-9. I think Purdy ties it up here in the past decade. A plus 7.9 run differential. The pitching staff is doing pretty well, only allowing 2 a game. I think they win it here. Silex versus North Callaway. I will go with the Thunderbirds here. North Callaway's got 5 straight wins against Silex, and they're looking better against Commons. That's a big thing here. I think there's 3 games where Silex has lost and North Callaway's played the same opponent and won. I think just all signs point towards North Callaway winning this one. Silex has a good team together this year, though. They're sitting around 15 in Class 2. Gainesville versus Fordland. Gainesville just moved up to number 3 in Class 2. They're looking great this year. This is the Class 2 game of the week. They've got 4 straight wins against Fordland, but this is an Eagles team that has been hanging around with some tough competition. I'm going with Gainesville, though. Got to stick with the top 3 in Class 2. They're scoring 8.1 runs per game. Class 3 from this past week. Ash Grove over Stockton 3-2. Fairgrove defeats Stratford 15-5. Union defeats Blair Oaks 7-3. North Callaway over Montgomery County 5-4. Palmyra defeats Mexico 9-5. I was wrong about that one. I said I felt like the arms were going to be better there for Mexico, and they end up allowing 9. So good job to the Panthers on a good home win. And Duchesne versus Orchard Farm does not happen. The Class 3 scoreboard. Carrollton versus Knob Noster at Liberty Park in Sedalia tonight, a neutral site game in a tournament. I will go with Carrollton. They are down in this series pretty heavily. Knob Noster leads at 12-6 since 2016, but this Carrollton team is looking great this year. I believe I've got them at number 7 in Class 3. They're scoring 9.7 runs a game, and I think they get a statement win here. Ash Grove versus Miller. Give me Ash Grove. They're 7-3 in this matchup history since 2016. A plus 5.7 run differential this year. This is a really tough matchup. Both teams are ranked. I've got Miller at number 4 in Class 2, and Ash Grove, I think, is at number 9 in Class 3. I expect some fireworks here. Blair Oaks versus Helias. Now, Blair Oaks, they've taken some lumps this year. Lots of losses, but they're playing some really tough competition. Teams like Class 5 and Class 6, especially that Columbia tournament. They went 0-4 in that tournament, but they played 4 Class 6 schools, and I think 2 or 3 of them are ranked. I think 3 of them were ranked opponents, so they're not taking it easy on themselves. Helias, I mean, they're playing the same competition, but they're also a class higher above Blair Oaks, and they actually just dropped down from 5 to 4. They're having a rough time on offense this year. They're only scoring 4.1 runs per game. I think Blair Oaks at home will out-hit them. The matchup history doesn't say. It's in favor of the Falcons. They are 4-9 against Helias since 2017, but 4 of those wins have been since 2021, so they've kind of turned around that matchup history. I think the Falcons win it here. Centralia versus Palmyra. Panthers versus Panthers. This is going to be a fun game. Both teams looking solid this year. We've got Centralia at number 5 in Class 3. Kind of out of nowhere. Insane season so far. They're looking great. They are down in this matchup history 9-1 since 2016. So the history is not in their favor, but they have a plus 7.3 run differential this season. If there's a time to beat Palmyra, it is this year. Duchesne versus Kirkwood. I will go with the Pioneers in this one. They're both Pioneers. I will go with the Duchesne Pioneers in this one. Sorry, I didn't even think about that when I said that. This is their first listed matchup on Misha. Duchesne's scoring 7.7 runs per game. I think they've got a good offense. And Kirkwood's pitching staff hasn't been all the way there where they want it this season, so I will go with the lower-classed school in this one, the home team. Fairgrove versus Fatima is our Class 3 game of the week. Incredibly excited for this one. Number 1 Fairgrove versus number 10 Fatima on Saturday. I believe this game is being played at Fairgrove. This is a rematch of the 2025 state championship where Fatima won it 2-0. I expect another low-scoring game. The pitchers will be there. It's going to be ace versus ace, or it should be at least. Fairgrove right now, they're scoring +6 run differential, winning their games by 6 or more on average. I think Fairgrove will take care of business here. That's all we got for today. On Thursday, we will have the large school predictions. This has been Missouri Sports Talk. We'll see you next time.